Okay, now to segue into the Corvette transmission. This is a 4L60E out of a 2001 Chevy Corvette. And this one somehow lost third gear, it went missing. The story on this one is actually a friend of mine's shop this car was at. And I think the client noted that there were some transmission problems, but it did work. And they wanted a service. And so they did the service on it. And everything looked correct. I didn't see any... When we got the car, the fluid levels were good. Everything looked fine. But they did the service on it. And after the service, on the road, on the test drive, third gear was gone. Just poof. That brings me to a point where I want to kind of elaborate why in our facility we don't like doing services or maintenance on older transmissions or things that have been neglected for some time. And now I say neglect, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Just if you haven't done any maintenance to a car in a long period of time, that's neglect. And you can't expect to do service on something that's 25 years old with over 100,000 miles and have good results. The maintenance is something you need to do proactively throughout the lifetime of the car. So my evidence does not show any foul play on their side. They did the service correctly and everything's good. It's just one of those things. It's old, and customer did note there were issues with it, and I think it's just like a game of hot potato, and they were the last ones to mess with it, and then decided to lay down on them, unfortunately. So we've got it here now, and we're doing the transmission rebuild on it, and we'll get it apart. I'm expecting to see third gear clutches smoked. It smelled like it when we had the fluid sample out of it. We'll get the pan off and see what the pan looks like, and then get the unit torn down. So if you notice, this bell housing is very small compared to any other ones. That's because the torque tube covers the rest of it, and then it's got this little tiny baby bell housing here for it. Torque converter. And it's got these dumb bolts here. I'll have to go get those. Forgot about that. 15, 13. Alright, so the bell housing, the little baby bell housing here, takes a special, 4L60s take a special Torx Plus bit. These things are tight, and they can go either way sometimes, so let's see if we can make this happen. Alright, success. It's a little easier on the Corvette because it's so small a bell housing. I can get the gun in there, fully seated without any kind of angle. The bigger bell housing is tougher to get down into those bolts. Gotta use an extension, and sometimes the extension robs some of that torque. You need to get those bolts loose. This little hard O-ring here. Let's see if we can get this out. Screwdriver. We want to get the O-ring. GM powertrain. So I want to catch this O-ring, I want to stretch it, scratch it. and it'll collapse it and let that thing slide out. Corvette servo. So this 2/4 servo applies the band inside there that controls 2nd and 4th gear, as the name would suggest. And let's go ahead and dump this over. Alright, the big reveal is an Inferno. This thing is exactly burnt up. This is the definition of burnt up. So yeah, this is 3rd gear clutch is pretty much caught on liquid fire. It's got the proper filter in there, and it's good. This Corvette's got a little stout there. Now, I'm not a fan of this gasket. This is the gasket that comes in some of those filter kits you get at the parts stores. I don't like them. When I rebuild transmissions, I use the proper factory type gasket. It's not an actual GM gasket, but it's the same type of material they use, and it's much better than this jar garbage here, because then a lot of people like to use silicone on these, which I'm not a fan of doing. If the pan does not call for silicone, like there's a lot of factory transmissions that use silicone. A lot of your Chryslers use silicone, a lot of your Asians use silicone. But if it had a gasket in the factory, I could put a gasket back on it without all this silicone mess. If it's something that had silicone in the factory, I'll put silicone back on it because that's what it's designed to use. But this just it's just messy and it's unnecessary. If you use the right gasket, you won't need to put silicone on them. Just my opinion. Let that filter drain. Alright, so now we need to should I have my little handy tool? I don't see it. So we're going to get this unplugged here. Now these connectors get really brittle over 25 years. So luckily that one came off okay. I try not to break these. And the EPC, electronic pressure control solenoid, off. Okay, I'll get those off. I need to get this out, this solenoid out. And I've got a little handy tool for that. I think it's laying. There it is. Swing this over. Get you in there. And out it comes. Don't want to lose that clip. It's not that people mistakenly try to pull the pump out before they get the pan off and they break the filter and the lockup solenoid, and you got to replace the whole harness because it's all made together. Take that off, and it's got an accumulator off, and can't tell that's the metal or the porcelain one. Plastic. Well, air here, and I'll knock that piston out. Yep, that's the plastic porcelain deal. These will crack in the center sometimes. This one looks okay, but we're going to replace those with metal. We always go back with the aluminum ones, not the plastic ones. Removing all the 10 millimeters. And we have 3 8 millimeters. Now these are important to remember because they are a different length, and if you thread in this bolt in a different spot, you can damage gear train components. They have to go in just in these locations here. That thing likes to hang up on me. We'll just eliminate it. Use the proper socket. The valve body. All our check balls fell out, of course, because we picked them up. There's one hanging out there. Pink. I don't go back with the steel ones. I go back in with what they call Turloin. It's an upgraded material, so the steel ones will beat into the plate, as you can see here. The little lip there, they beat into the plate and they get stuck in the plate. The Turloin material is a real hard plastic. GM did use some plastic check balls in some of their units, but the Turloin is a different material, and we've had really good success with it. So we go back in with the Turloin. That way the plate doesn't get further damaged and keeps any of that failure in the future. And you're gonna have another one of those plastic accumulators in here for the forward clutch, and we'll get rid of that. There's our valve body. We'll put all that off to the side, and let's get into the unit. That's its own set of issues we have to address. This is a 3/4 accumulator. They're usually all aluminum. Let's walk it out of there. You make sure they don't wear. This one seems pretty decent. But yeah, these are aluminum, so we'll go back with aluminum in the other ones as well. Let's see. We want to get this pump pulled out now. And the drum's going to want to come with it sometimes. We got to tell it no. Because when the drum tries to come out, it grabs the band. And we have a really bad time. See there? We need to unhook this band from the anchor. We've already got the servo out. So we'll try to pop this off. See, this is, the drum pulls out too far. It won't allow the band to compress, and then it gets stuck in there. So there we go. You do you. You already see the heat treatment going on here. A little bit of slippage on the 2/4 band. Nothing crazy. Sometimes these will get grooves or really darken up and kind of cone out and feels okay, we'll put a straight edge on it and check it. This is the reverse input drum. This clutch comes on and stops the input drum from turning. You know, nothing crazy going on inside there. And this is a 2/4 band. And it's got some signs of, you see some cracking going on. A little bit of slipping and sliding, which is to be expected. And let's go ahead and save this for once I get the gear train apart. Get that band anchor out. Alright, now there's a snap ring here. We got a precision. They pull that out. And then this is our front planetary. Good to go. This is our planet carrier. Got the old style washer type drum. New style had a bearing here, actual roller bearing. Check this out. Looks okay. Sun shell here. Let me get some of this fluid out. Don't want to hurt my wiring harness, but I want to drain some of this fluid. I hate splashing fluid in my face. It's not fun. Okay, that's out. Now we need to try and get this out. Sometimes this support will wear into the case. It does not look like it's done that, but there's a spring down here, right here, that will push out to one side and make it a little hard to get out. So we'll bump it a little bit, and that will release everything. This is going to be the low roller one way. The roller one way is good. These are the low reverse clutches. Nothing burn up, but they've got some age to them, no doubt. And this is a sun gear, splines into our sun shell. Low planetary. Check our pinions. Good. Low planet carry, and they peen it on the shaft here. It's a little tough to get off. We just got to tap it, it'll slide off. And then other than that, we just have to get the low piston out, which I'll do that special tool and everything to get that spring compressed, which I can manage that later. And here is the clunk spring for the low, and I'll get this harness pulled out of here. But for now, we'll let it drain, and we'll move on to the input drum. So the stop set of clutches is our third gear clutches. Let's see here. You can see we're already in trouble with how discolored this is right here, and you can see how discolored everything looks in there right now. Yuck. Yep, there you go. Third gear clutches just obliterated. I mean, that's about as bad as you'd expect. You know, all the rich material's falling off of that one, and they are super coned out. See all the space inside there? They're just, they've been baked on broil for 30 minutes. I mean, that's what happens when you leave the chicken in the oven too long. or the pie. Thanks, Marie Callender. You ruined Thanksgiving. And that's like one of the common failures in the 60E, and it's one of the also biggestly, very bigly, it's one of the largest debates about the transmission failure, about what causes it. And then, to be honest, there are a bunch of things that cause 3/4 clutch failure. It's not contributed to one thing, but everybody's got their own opinion about what causes it and what does it, as do I. So I build these according to the research I've done and my own experience, and I like to think we've got pretty good success with them. But everybody's got their own little recipe they use. This is the input one-way sprag. It's a forward clutch. Nothing surprising in there. I mean, for being 25 years old, they're in good shape. This is the overrun clutch. Nothing wrong about it. Just 3/4 clutches just spontaneously combusted. And that's the input drum. I'll tear this down further. There's 3 pistons inside here, and it's a whole setup, and I'll take it apart. Nothing I gotta worry about here. And let's see. Pump. Let's get the pump apart. This old gasket. Don't expect any issues with this pump. I bet. Right. Yep. You know, it's all there. Nothing really messed up in there. Looks fine. Can't feel anything there. Nothing there. Now, what we got to worry about though is our pressure regulator valve. This is one of the wear spots. I think I can see right there in the lip there where it's been running off axis and hitting that ledge there. And so we will vacuum check that and likely replace it with a transgo setup. And we have to worry about what they call the AFL valve here, actuator feed limit. This likes to wear out. It will start to wear. So we'll vacuum check that and replace as needed. And this valve likes to wear terribly. This is a torque converter control valve, and this part here will wear, and it'll wear up in here. You can't see it. And transgo also makes a good valve train for that. But otherwise, yeah, it's just 3/4 clutch is just combusted. So we'll be checking the input drum out real close, because sometimes these do like to we'll check the input drum out real well. Some of these like to leak and get porous in some places. The shaft, the drum connection can leak through here where it's pressed in. I've seen that. Usually with high mileage, the shaft and the drum just kind of work their way with the torque of the engine coming in there, and it'll actually start stripping the splines out a little bit and causing some wiggle room, and the shaft will just slide out on its own. And the feed holes for the clutches go through the shaft into the drum, so when you lose that connection, you get a leak there. But yeah, this is the 460 of a Corvette, 01 Corvette. I'm gonna get through this all cleaned up, go get all my new parts, check all my wear points, and then get this thing back together, and also rebuild the torque tube, and then have my guys put it back in. So yeah, thanks for watching.